we are starting today with this landmark case in Michigan. We have been following it closely. A jury has found Jennifer Crumbley, the mother of the Michigan school shooter, guilty of 4 counts of involuntary manslaughter. After the verdict, she was taken away in handcuffs. She's facing up to 15 years in prison. This is all in connection with the shooting deaths of 4 students at Oxford High School in 2021. 7 others, of course, were wounded. For more on this, we are joined by criminal defense attorney and legal analyst Mari Henderson. Mari, thank you for being here. What is your reaction to this historic verdict?
My reaction is the same as one of the mothers of the victims here, which is that this is a monumental landmark. And the reason this is so monumental is because this is the first time in U.S. history that any parent has been held criminally responsible for a mass murder carried out by their child.
Mari, there was a lot of evidence in this case. What do you think really swayed the jury?
I think there were 2 key pieces of evidence that swayed the jury. One were the journals and the notebooks and the text messages by Jennifer Crumbley's son where he was pleading for help and essentially she ignored it. And the other is the fact that this gun was basically a gift to him, a 15-year-old, that she took him to the shooting range and that he had easy access to the gun. Jennifer Crumbley was the last person in the chain of custody to have possession of this gun before the mass shooting was carried out.
Mari, I just want to put this in terms like the audience can understand. So we talked about this earlier, and a lot of parents now are writing in, they're saying, so if my kid does something, now I have to go to jail? That's not the situation that we're dealing with here. We have a chain of evidence that happened which caused her to go to jail. It's not just a random incident, right?
There were a lot of red flags here, and the final red flag was the day of the shooting. The school called both parents in and said, you need to take your son home from school. He is not safe to be here. Wow. He is a danger, and he committed the crime that same day.
Talk to me, Mari, about this precedent, because does this mean, and I appreciate what Jeff was saying, it's not a blanket case, but does this mean that other mothers, parents, guardians can be held responsible? Is that a slope that we're starting here?
It is certainly a precedent that we are starting. It will be interesting to see, actually, Jennifer Crumbley's ex-husband, the father of Ethan Crumbley, is going to be tried separately in a trial just next month. And so it'll be interesting to see if he is also convicted. Right. Because if he's not convicted, then she has a higher chance of probably appealing her conviction successfully. But if he is, then we're certainly going to see a trend of parents being charged and perhaps even schools being charged when they're on notice and they have knowledge and they ignore it and fail to do anything.
Right, negligent right there.
Well, perhaps we should be charging some senators too, right? I mean, come on, there's a lot of people that are responsible for this unique problem here in America.
Fair point. I will ask you this because you brought up the father before I get to my question. Do you think he'll be charged and convicted as well? He's been charged.
Yes, so I think that he may be convicted as well. The pieces of evidence are slightly different in that Jennifer had the last possession of the gun. Perhaps they may treat a mother differently than a father, double standard there. So it'll be interesting to see if he is also convicted. But he was at that very same meeting where the school said, you need to take your son home, and they both said no.
Well, you know, I'm going to lean on your expertise for this. Do you think that this will help stop gun violence in schools?
I think it's a piece of the puzzle, but it's not the only thing. I think this will be a red flag to parents that they can't just ignore these warnings, that they could be charged with involuntary manslaughter or a reckless disregard to human life. But I think the access to guns is the #1 thing. Right now, we're setting a precedent that parents can't give children such easy access to guns, and I think schools also need to take responsibility here as well.
Whew, Mari, okay, so here's the thing. Do you think, and a lot of people are asking this very question, will this case, will the verdict, will it hold up? Or do you think it's likely that it will be overturned on appeal?
I think this case has a higher odds of being overturned on appeal than other criminal cases. It's very rare that a criminal case is overturned on appeal, but one, this is such brand new legal precedent here on an interesting legal theory of hooking involuntary manslaughter to a parent. They're not the one that pulled the trigger, but they're the one that gave the gun. And 2, there were some pieces of evidence that came into the trial that probably shouldn't have about her personal life, her affairs, her work history, that questionably maybe should not have come in.
Yeah. I hope it does not get overturned. Mari, we appreciate you. Thank you for joining us today on DBL.